Okay, so it's time for us to go ahead and get back into our coverage over the Avengers, written by Kurt Busiek and drawn by George Perez. And we're going to cover another three-part story arc. Now, this three-part story arc is really more of a Silver Claw storyline. And Silver Claw joined the Avengers in the last story arc, but she first appeared in the early parts of our coverage over the Avengers, written by Kurt Busiek and drawn by George Perez. And so early on when she first appeared, we kind of got a little bit of information about her character, but not the full backstory. This three-part storyline gives us her whole entire backstory and her connected to, well, a god made up in Marvel Comics. Now, as we get into the opening pages of the storyline, we're picking up with this older man. Like, he's an old guy, right? But this elderly man is waking up, and we kind of get the idea of he is this ruler of this area in the middle of the jungle. He has all these servants just doing all these different things for him. But then he hears something, and then he realizes that it is time for something. And this kind of begins the whole story we're going to get into in today's video. But let's go ahead and shift over to the Avengers. We have to remember that this is the new Avengers by Kurt Busiek and George Perez. And let me explain, because in our earlier videos for this run, we had talked about the idea of the public hating on the Avengers. And the reason why, because the Avengers had nobody of color on their team. Now, at the same time, for the public, they wanted that, but they also hated on mutants as well. So, hey, you know what? Add folks of color, but get rid of the mutants on your team. Now, you also had another organization out there known as the Triune Understanding. Now, the Triune Understanding, they were always bashing the Avengers in the public eye. And so for the public, they were getting, angrier and angrier with the Avengers and causing a lot of drama. So you had different members of the Avengers leave, but it left the door open to have new people to rejoin the team or join for the first time, like Silverclaw, Triathlon. You also have Warbird, Miss Marvel. You have She-Hulk. You also have the Wasp, Iron Man, and I want to say it's Giant Man, Goliath. I forgot what name he is using, but this is your new Avengers team. And so you have the Avengers right now doing this huge thing. And really, it's more the Avengers just going out of their way to destroy an old building to make way for a new building that's being built by Maria Stark Foundation. And this new building is going to help out a lot of people in the area. But it's also the Avengers kind of doing a public stunt here. And the reason why, because they're trying their best to get back in the good side of the public. And so it's kind of like, look, it's the Avengers helping out this organization, this company, to get rid of old building, to make way for a new building that's going to help out a lot of people in the area. And look, we're somewhat diverse now. We have Triathlon, somebody of color. We also have She-Hulk, more women on the team. Like, we're getting kind of diverse here, So guys, the public, can you like us? Now, while you have the Avengers doing that, we switch over to Avengers Mansion, and we pick up with Jarvis right now just being a good butler, but also making some cookies for the Avengers. Now, while doing that, he's then confronted by Silverclaw. Now, for Silverclaw, we met her a while ago, but she is Jarvis' sponsor, basically meaning that for Jarvis, he took care of her while she was in a different country, her home country. But now she's in America for a program. Either way, she did receive a message from people from her home country, and it basically says it's time, and she freaks out. And so this kind of leads to us learning the actual backstory to Silverclaw. You see, for Silverclaw, she belongs to a group of people known as the Kamakuri. Now, the Kamakuri, they believed in many different gods in their culture. And for a while there, they believed their gods were the best thing for them. Like, those gods were part of their daily lives. But then you had missionaries appear. And with these missionaries, they brought in a new religion, and that would be Christ. And so over time, you had Christ take over their whole entire old beliefs. And so their gods were no longer being worshiped. And the story goes that when it came to those gods no longer being worshiped, well, they left. But one god did stay behind, and that would be Pele, the volcano god. Now, volcano god is really important for the backstory of Silverclaw. And the reason why, because there was this man who truly did believe in the old ways, the old culture of Silver Claw's people. And when he tried to explain or tell stories about the old ways, the old beliefs, well, he'll get made fun of because at a point in time, Christ had officially taken over the area. No one was no longer believing in the old gods, the old beliefs, the old cultures. But when he came as man, he would go to the top of the mountain over and over. But then one time he came back down with the child. Now he claimed that this child belongs to him, but also belongs to Pele, the volcano god. And that child would be Silverclaw. And because she had her abilities back then, being able to shapeshift into different kinds of animals, well, it was kind of believable at first that there is a possibility that she is a child to a god. But the problem was when it came to her and her father, when they go back to the caves where Pele should be at, the volcano god never appeared. And so for Silverclaw, she began to doubt the idea that she was the daughter to a god, and she believed that her father was a liar. Now, her father did die, and unfortunately, she was put in an orphanage. But luckily for her, she met Jarvis, who became her sponsor. And so that all leads into where we first saw her in the earlier parts of our coverage over the Avengers. Now staying with Jarvis in the Avengers back in America. But there was this prophecy that basically said that an old threat from the past will come back into the present day. And the only person that would be able to handle that powerful threat would be the child of a god. And so, of course, that means Silverclaw. She has to go out of her way to supposedly stop this major threat. Except when the Avengers arrived to her village, well, she realized that her village has changed. It has changed into this magical city. Now, when the Avengers do arrive there, they're also confronted by men who are riding on big birds who are now trying to attack them. Now, for our heroes, at first, they wanted to land in the city to figure out what exactly is going on. But for the Scarlet Witch, she realized there's something off about the city. She realized that there is a barrier that has been placed around the city. And so she realized the Avengers must retreat and regroup somewhere else, where of course they do that. And so once you do have the Avengers land nearby, you then have the Avengers wonder what would exactly happen to them if they do enter the actual city. And so they send in three people, and that would be She-Hulk, Giant Man, or Goliath, and also Warbird, Carol Danvers, to see what would happen if they do enter the actual city. Except when they do, those three heroes are then transformed into sword and sorcery versions of themselves. Now, luckily for our heroes, you had Iron Man being able to use a plant life as a way to pull them out of the city to bring them back to their old selves again. But now we know what exactly happens. If you try to go into that city, you will change into a different version of yourself and you'll truly believe that you belong there. But you then have the Avengers be confronted by an astral form of the main bad guy of the book, and that would be Colin Goth or Colin Gap. I want to say Colin Goth, but he first appeared in Conan the Barbarian issue number 14 back in 1972. Now, I'm not going to sit down and try to give you the whole entire backstory for this character, but he does tell the Avengers like, hey, listen, if you try to re-enter my city again, you're going to pay for it. Now, after some time has passed by, it's nighttime while you have the Avengers trying to set up their camp. Well, you did have the Avengers hear a loud scream, and they realized that loud scream came from Silverclaw. And it's basically her realizing what he is after, what Colin Gath is actually after. He's after her mother. But as we dive into Avengers issue number 29, we do pick up with the Avengers right now, seeing that the goddess Pelele, I have a hard time pronouncing her name, is now being attacked by minions who work for Kulan Goth. Now, for the Avengers, they do try their best to step in, but for Silverclaw, this is a big moment because she was told a long time ago that basically, that was her mother. So this is the first time that she is officially seeing her mother right now in front of her. But of course, right now, her mother is being attacked. Now, unfortunately for the Avengers, they weren't really able to save her in time. So she does get captured and taken away by the minions who work for Kulan Gath. But for the Avengers, they do have somebody they believe that they could interrogate to kind of learn more about what Kulan Gath plans really are. Except when they do try to interrogate him, he explodes of energy. And the reason why, because for Kulan Gath, he wants to make sure that information is not being told over to the Avengers. So this guy basically dies in the arms of Iron Man. Now, with that being said, for the Wasp, she realized they have another problem. The military of Costa Verde is trying to move in. You see, for Silver Claw's village, it's part of Costa Verde, and they want to know what exactly happened to the village. And so now the military is trying to move in. But let's not forget, in the last chapter, we just saw if anybody goes into the city, they're transformed. And so for the Avengers, they're kind of like, we got to stop them because if they go in there, they'll be controlled by Kulan Gath. Now, luckily for our heroes, they were able to talk to the commander and say, hey, do not go in there. Give us an hour or two to try to figure out things before you try to go in there because you'll basically, be transformed. Now, for the commander, he does not truly believe what the Wasp is saying, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you know what, fine. You get 2 hours. Go in there and figure things out. Now, for the Scarlet Witch, she also had a way to help out the Avengers. You see, she realized that with Iron Man holding on to these different computer chips, that she can put a spell on those chips to make sure they get stuck in the present day. Meaning that when the chips go through the gates of the city, they're not going to be transformed to anything from the past or the ancient times. And so if the Avengers hold on to those chips, the same thing goes with them as well. They're not going to be altered, allowing the Avengers to enter the city. Now, once you do have the Avengers get inside the city, they realize something's wrong here. As they walk around, they're seeing different things that belong to the present time that you would not see in a magical city that's stuck in the past. Like, for example, a street light or a gum wrapper. I almost said a gun wrapper. But either way, for the Avengers, they're kind of wondering, what is truthfully going on with the spell that Kulan Gath had placed here? Now, while you do have the Avengers walk around, they don't realize they're being watched by a young girl, or possibly somebody else pretending to be a young girl. But you didn't have the Avengers go into a nearby bar. Usually you go to a bar to collect information about the surrounding area that you are currently in. Except when they go inside the bar, you have Carol Danvers pull Triathlon to the side. And the reason why, because ever since he had joined the Avengers, he kind of had this chip on his shoulder. And the reason why, because, he was only able to join the Avengers because the team liaison for the government had basically forced him onto the team. Because again, for the public, they wanted somebody of color on the team. Bam, you have him. But also for the Avengers, they don't trust him. And the reason why, because he's also part of the triune understanding. Now, the triune understanding, their main goal, supposedly, is to help humans reach their peak level. They also are the reason why Triathlon was able to get his abilities as well. And so for him, he believes in the triune understanding, trying to do good things for the world. But for the Avengers, they have a lot of reasons to believe the triune understanding is not really a good organization. But for Carol Danvers, is her saying stop with the whole act, the whole chip on your shoulder. Because the thing is, every single person on his team, they have their own struggles. I have my own struggles right now being inside this bar because she is an alcoholic. But the thing is, these people put their problems to the side to make sure that this world is still protected. They still work together to take down the enemies and stuff. So stop pretending like you're better than us or we're horrible people. We're all on the same level, all trying to achieve the same thing as well. Now, when it comes to the Avengers, really more Silverclaw, she's then confronted by some guy who's basically drunk, who's trying to hit on her. And of course, it leads into a fight at the bar where you have all of these different people who are being controlled by Kulan Goth. Now, really, for Kulan Goth, we see him right now having a conversation with, well, Paleli. And when it comes to Paleli, she wants to know what Kulan Goth's overall goal is. And his goal is that he wants to be respected by the other gods. He wants to enter the realm where the gods live in to kind of be part of their whole group. And so his main goal is to sacrifice everyone in the city, including Paleli, as a way to enter that realm with the other gods as well. And so at the end of this chapter, we see that he was able to turn all the different people in the city and the different kind of demons or creatures to fight against the Avengers. And unfortunately for our heroes, by the end of this chapter, they basically lose, just like that. But as we enter issue number 30, we really do see Kulan Gaw had captured some of the Avengers. Now, there is a reason why I said some of the Avengers, because two of them are not there at the moment. But when it comes to the Avengers now being captured by Kulan Gaw, you also have Kulan Gaw beginning the process of him opening up a portal that will allow him to basically go into the realm of gods. Now, he's also planning on sacrificing not just a volcano god, but also everyone in the city, including our heroes as well. So you do have his people begin to play the drums as he begins the process of his ritual, because he believes that he deserves the right to stand next to all the powerful gods in Marvel Comics. And the reason why, because over the years for his character, he has worked for different gods in Marvel Comics. Now, for the Wasp and also Iron Man, they're not there with the rest of the Avengers who have been captured by Kulan Gaw. And right now, they're talking to the president of Costa Verde. And really, when it comes to the president, he does not believe the whole idea of this magical city. And also the fact that, like, if anybody goes into the city, they're going to be changed. He can't believe that at all. And so he's right now telling our heroes, like, listen, we got to move in because that village is no longer normal. Now, with that being said, Iron Man does have a plan to help protect him and Wasp, but also the military as well as they enter the city. Now, we do kind of get another example of the idea of the magical spell not being complete when it comes to Kulan Gaw. Then let me explain. Because the Kulan Gaw spell, it does work for the most part, but when you have Silverclaw reach out to somebody that she remembers from her early days in the village, they begin to remember who they are. Now, for Silverclaw, while she tries to continue on to reach out to that person, she's then knocked out by the guards. Now, we also see someone else run by, like supposedly a good hero. We have no idea who the person is, but we now begin the process of the Avengers getting the heck out of there. Because once you do have Hank Pym being able to make up a game plan where he's then able to free each member of the Avengers, it's a full-on battle right now. Now, while you do have the Avengers beginning to fight against the different people who are being controlled by Kulan Gaw, we also see the military has moved in as well. Now, for the military, the reason why they're not being affected by the spell of Kulan Gaw is because of Iron Man. Let's not forget, Iron Man had these computer chips earlier, and those computer chips were technically communicator chips. And so when it came to Iron Man, he realized the spell that the Scarlet Witch had put on those chips to allow our heroes not to be changed once they had entered the city, he realized once he's able to build some kind of digital connection to all the different people in the military, that means that spell is now also affecting them as well, which also means they cannot be affected by a Kulan Gaw spell at all. So now the military plus the Avengers have now officially entered the city. But this kind of leads into the ending of the storyline, because once we do pick up with our heroes, you didn't have our heroes at the moment right now just fighting against Kulan Gaw, but you have Silverclaw begin the process of trying to help the people of the village remember who they are, who they were before he had arrived. Because, like we saw earlier, when he had that one girl that Silverclaw remembered, she was able to help her remember who she was. And so, once you have Silverclaw being able to do that, the people are no longer on his side. Now, for Kulan Gath, he believes that the gate is officially open, that he is ready. But the thing is, the gate is not really ready yet. And the reason why, because the volcano god, she's not dead. And so when he does open up the portal, the other gods are very upset with him because one, you can't come in here, and two, you didn't kill off a god like you said you were trying to do. And so you didn't have the other gods grab him and take him away. Now, in the middle of all of that right there, somebody was able to blast Kulan Gath to kind of help stop the process, our mysterious character. Now, this leads into a sad moment. Because for Silverclaw, let's not forget, she never met her mother. She was told by her father that she is the daughter to some volcano god, and that's really it. And really, for the volcano god, because I'm tired of trying to pronounce her name, she does try to basically, tell Silverclaw that she is sorry. That she is sorry that she did not do a good job as a mother and be there for her. But she is one thing, proud of her daughter, and she dies in the arm of Silverclaw. Now, for the Avengers, on their way back home to America, you didn't have the Avengers remember that, well, Silverclaw is here with us, and she's not really an official member yet. So why not go ahead and make her an official member? So just like that, Silverclaw is now an Avenger. But for our heroes, they don't realize they have an extra passenger, and it's Yellow Jacket. But the question is right now, who is Yellow Jacket if Hank Pym is right now Goliath? Like, what in the world is going on here? And the book ends on that note right there. So with that being said, guys, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.